NP hard and intersection of NP hard and NP is NP complete. A problem that is NP hard and NP is NP complete. So Cook first showed that for this satisfiability problem, everyone is related. Thereby he showed that it is NP hard. Later on, after about 6 months, he showed that it is non-deterministic polynomial time solvable. And thereby he showed that satisfiability problem is NP complete. Okay? So remember, when a problem is NP hard and when a problem is NP complete. Of course, if a problem is here, it is NP hard. Why? It is, everybody is related to him. Every NP problem is related to him, therefore he is NP hard. But he is not only NP hard, he himself is a member of NP, therefore it is NP complete. Otherwise he may be something like this. So this is how the NP hard looks. NP hard class is this, and a portion of it is NP complete.
So can we say that NP complete problems are a subset of NP hard problems?
Yes, they are. Always. Look at the definition. An NP complete is always NP hard. But then there may be some NP hard problems which may not be NP complete. May not be. We do not know. Right?
The next question comes, Professor, that optimization problems are NP hard.
Optimization problems.
Optimization problems tend to become NP hard,
Hmm.
but we are not able to prove it NP complete. Is it?
We never talk of optimization problem in the complexity theory. We talk of only decision version of the optimization problem.
Some books tend to use this kind of reference. They say optimization, because normally this entire graph will be represented, this representation here, the pie chart. We talk with respect to decision problems.
Right,
Some books tend to refer to saying optimization problems fall into NP hard.
right.
And the common misconception is, okay, if it is an optimization, it is NP hard, and if it is decision, it is NP complete, which is not true.
Which is not true. NP hardness also requires you to work with the decision problem only. Okay? If the decision problem is NP hard, obviously the optimization problem is also NP hard. Right? So we talk of the status only with respect to hardness is spoken for decision version. That's why I showed you difficulty this way, easy this way. You want to comment on the optimization problem on its NP hardness? Then you begin with the comment on the decision problem, prove it formally, extend that comment to the optimization problem. Do not try to attack directly for optimization problem, because that will not work. It won't work with the Turing machine, it won't work with the framework that is designed. But by doing that we are not going wrong, because if a simpler problem is hard, the more demanding and complex problem will be even harder. Hence this implication is carried over there. But that is the way we prove the NP hardness of optimization problem. Okay? So to prove the NP hardness of an optimization problem, the point you have to do is construct the decision version. Show that everybody is related to him polynomially. That's all. NP hardness of the decision version, and in the same stroke NP hardness of the optimization version, both are proved. Okay? So this is the NP complete. So he showed the NP completeness. Now the life is same in mathematics and computer science. There are many things which we do from first principles, and after doing certain thing from first principles, later on you only use formula, transformation, etc. Remember your good old days with your calculus. Limit theta tending to 0 of sine theta by theta, you would have worked really hard. The x plus a delta, sine expansion, cos cancellation, and finally you will prove that one after a lot of labor. Okay? That is deriving the limit from first principles. Differentiation and everything using first principles. But later on, integral, UdVr, differentiator, UV, product formula, everything is there. So in the same way, fortunately, if you find a particular problem very, very difficult, to prove that it is indeed very difficult, you don't have to work really hard. All you have to do is, you take one NP complete problem which resembles somewhat closely to the problem which you feel you are struggling with, polynomially relate it. And if you do that, you have proved the NP completeness of the problem which you are struggling with also. So you can go and tell your boss that, don't expect me to produce miracle on this problem. This particular problem is really a painful problem, because you can see that if this problem can be solved by anybody efficiently, that would mean 1,000,000 problems can be solved efficiently. And that's not going to happen, boss. So don't expect polynomial time solution for this. That kind of a conclusion you can give and defend your difficulty by showing certain problem is NP complete. Okay? It is an assurance that you are indeed stuck with a very difficult problem. It is a consolation that you are working with a very hard problem, but that is not a relief. Even if the problem is NP complete, you have to solve it, you have to find an alternative way. So what you can do is, you can abandon the idea of finding the exact solution, because you know finding the exact solution is very difficult. So you can go for approximation, you can go for randomization, you have several other mechanisms to cope with NP complete problem. You should explore those avenues to solve the problem rather than trying hard to find a solution for this, efficient solution for this. It is not going to work because it's just not there. It is basically a very, very, very hard problem. So whatever you need to take the alternatives for coping with the NP complete problem, that is what you should do. So it is important for some people to recognize quickly the problem is a difficult one. The body of knowledge NP completeness is imparted so that in practice, when people are unable to find an alternate, at least they can make a quick assessment on whether this is indeed NP complete. If somebody has shown NP complete, or if we are able to show that it is NP complete, then you simply stop looking for the optimal solution or whatever it is, and then go for practical alternatives. Okay? And this is what Bentley has said in his real life war story or experience. In Bell Labs, what they have done is, for a printer plotter routine, they wanted to have the optimal or the minimal distance movement in that. To that they have exhaustively looked for it and then checked the cheapest one, and then they were trying to make the plotter to move along that locus. Obviously it took days before it start making its the first to move. Right? You give a command to print and that is it. The plotter is stuck. The device driver was working so hard to find how to move. In fact, even it had moved randomly, it would have finished the job in less than 1 second. But then, in order to find the best possible move, it was spending days and days together. So when he when this problem was posed to Bentley, he said, look, you are now trying to solve a problem that is NP hard. It is in fact NP complete. Therefore, there is no point in really attempting the best possible solution for it. Go for a solution that is reasonably good. He modified it with that one, and less than 1 second it gave the answer. It didn't give an optimal answer, but it gave a nearly optimal or reasonably good answer. Setting the goal itself is important. Right? And that you should set with full awareness like this. That is important. It's not that you don't know how to set a goal, therefore, okay, if it doesn't come by today evening, start working on approximation. That's not the way to say. That's a very unscientific way of saying, diluting the standards. You should be aware that it is impossible to do, so you are taking the next best step of, all right, produce an approximate solution. But how will this comment be made unless you know some theory of NP completeness and some well-known hard problems, and you need to have the ability to relate the problem in your hand with one of the hard problems around, and then you make a rational comment on the degree of difficulty of the problem you are facing. Then you take the pragmatic alternatives, approximation, heuristics, searches, simulated annealing, bio-inspired computing, neural computing, anything you can take. These are all alternatives available for handling NP complete problems. Okay, lot of techniques are there to solve certain difficult problems in practice, but you don't go to that in the beginning. If you are able to find a polynomial solution for the problem, good, get it done. If it is not possible, you think, is it that you are unable to solve, or is it that there is nobody could solve it either? And when nobody could solve it, better you go for heuristics, approximations, and so on. So that kind of a guidance, if you want to experience, this body of knowledge is essential. That is the reason why it is placed in the curriculum. So to complete my discussion, how do we show that a particular problem is NP complete? We want to relate polynomially something to a problem that is already known to be NP complete. Why polynomially relating works? Well, how do you show that a particular problem is NP complete? Everybody is related to him, and that fellow is itself is in NP. Now my new problem is polynomially related to an NP complete problem. Therefore, compose that polynomial with this polynomial. That gives you an argument that everybody is related to my problem. New problem I have in my hand is polynomially related. Okay, and it belonging to NP is also, that is guessable, and this is also guessable in polynomial time, and so on. Therefore, my new problem is also NP complete. Okay, so this is how, whenever I take a problem, I prove that it is NP complete. Now I will take just, I know that I am overshooting the time by a very big margin. I will show in 5 minutes a particular problem is NP complete, and with that proof we will conclude. The problem is click problem. Okay, given a graph, what is the maximum click size of the graph? What is the maximum click size of a graph? It's a problem in graph theory, right? You know what is a click? All pairs of vertices are connected. Then it is called the click. So consider this graph. The maximum click is 4 because these 4 vertices are connected mutually. Therefore, this is a graph whose maximum click size is 4. Okay, and this is a graph in which maximum click size is 2. So given a graph, we are interested in finding the maximum click size. This has a lot of practical application, forget about that. How do we find the maximum size? This is an optimization problem. Convert first this into a decision problem. So given a graph G and a constant K, does G have a click size less than or equal to K? This is the decision version. The answer must be yes or no. So I am interested in finding a click. Okay, this is what the decision version. Now, in order to solve this, given K, right, let me upsize equal to K. This I can use like binary search and I can find the exact maximum click size, the largest value for which k is valid I can find out, right. Just try k equal to 100. If it is yes, I will try k equal to 200, and if it is no, between 100 and 200 I know it lies, and so in we can do that. So let us see, does G have a click of size k? This is what I want to answer. What is the NP complete problem that I know already? I know that NP complete has a satisfiability. Now I am going to relate these two in polynomial time. The way in which I will do is, I will take an instance of P, okay, an instance of P, and convert this into an instance of G, G. I take an instance of P and convert this into an instance for G, and I show that this transformation is polynomial. And not only that, I can solve this if and only if I can solve this one. And what is the implication of this? The implication is, if there is a polynomial time solution, I can arrive at a polynomial time solution for this. How do I arrive at it? Take this input, use the conversion process to go to this input, and use the polynomial time algorithm to solve it and interpret it back here, right. So I could have done it. Therefore, the impossibility of polynomial time solution for this would be implied by the impossibility of polynomial time solution for this, because implication is this way. So how do I get it done? It's very simple. I have another problem called 3 satisfiability. I know that this is NP complete. So what do I mean by 3 satisfiability? I write the function, Boolean function f in conjunctive normal form CNF. That means everything is ANDed, and within this everything is ORed. So it consists of several classes, where each class has got only 3 variables. It has got exactly 3 variables. A variable is a literal xi or xi bar. A variable is, so for example, you can have f written as x1 plus x2 plus x3 bar into, what I will do is, I will take one quick example which is already there, and within 1 minute I can complete the proof. Don't worry, it's not going to take long time. Once I draw the picture, the proof will become evident. So it will not, I don't know where it is. I remember to have seen it somewhere. Okay. All right, x1 plus x2 plus x3 bar into x1 bar plus x2 bar plus x3 into x2 plus x3 bar. Okay, something like this. Now I want to find out whether there is a assignment possible such that say, let's say x1 equal to 1, x2 equal to 0, or x3 equal to 1. Does it make it satisfiable? Anything. It's a satisfiability problem. I am just checking for an assignment. Okay. Suppose the general satisfiability problem for n terms, n variables, and assume that it is represented like this. Now what I am going to do is, I will create one node for each class. Okay. So rather one column, x1, x2, x3, and x1, x2, this one. So x bar, y bar, x1, x1, x2, x3 bar, and this is x1 bar, x2 bar, x3, and here x2, x3 bar. In other words, for each column corresponds to each class here. For this one there is one column, and for this column 2, and for this column 3. So in general, if it has got k terms, there will be 3k vertices. Polynomial, it's only as many vertices, as many nodes as the number of terms, except that we have an organization like this. And I am going to provide edges. In fact, I am going to connect almost everything except for inconsistent pairs. I am going to connect an x with an x in, okay, let us say xy. I will specify easily what I am not going to connect. X and y are not connected if x, y belong to same column and x equal to y bar. That's all. Otherwise, I am going to connect. So let us take x1. Will I connect with this? I am not. It is in the same column. Will I connect with this? I am not. Will I connect this with this? I am not, because one is a complement of the other. But this I will connect. This I will connect. They are in different column, and this is not the bar of this. Similarly, x1 and x2 I will connect. x1 and x3 bar I will connect. x2 I will not connect with this. I will not connect with this, but I will connect with this. But I am not going to connect this with here. I would connect here. And x2 I can connect. That's not a problem. When one is not the bar of the other, I can always connect. And x2 with x3 bar I will connect. x3 bar I will connect with this. I will connect with this, but I am not going to connect this and this, because this is, and this I will connect again to this one. Now x1 bar to x2 I will connect, and x3 bar I will connect. x2 bar I will not connect with this, but this I will connect with this. x3 I will connect with this. I will not connect with, and so on. So in this way I am going to provide edges. Okay. So notice that I have converted an input into a converter. Now all I have to show is that in this graph there will be a clique of size k if and only if this is satisfiable. Suppose there are k terms here. I am going to show that G has a clique of size k if and only if this f is satisfiable. The argument is extremely simple. Nothing other than common sense argument. In 2 minutes, you can build the argument yourself, and that will complete the whole thing. That's why I have taken this case study, which is easy to visualize. Okay, when will this be satisfiable? That is, when will you get one? This is the AND of lot of terms. That means every term must be 1, right? If every term which is over here is 1, one of them is 1, right? One of them must be 1. So take the one which is 1 here, take the one which is 1 here, and take the one which is 1 here, and so on, right? Pull out any one, you can choose. If this is 1 and this is 1, take any one of them. Just take 1 here and 1 here, and consider, that means you are taking from this column a fellow, from this column one fellow, from this column one fellow. That way you have taken k nodes. These k nodes will form a clique. Why will it form a clique? Why will all of them are connected? Take any two of them, right? They are in different column, and one cannot be the complement of the other. Why? If you have chosen this as 1 and that is also 1, it cannot be a complementing variable. So when it is not complementing, you are anyway providing an edge. So out of these k nodes that you have chosen, all edges are present, therefore there is a k clique. Okay? Conversely, suppose there is a k clique in this graph. Where do you think those k vertices will be? Can those k vertices be in the same column? It can't be, because I know that within the same column there are no edges. So if there is a k clique, those k vertices must be 1 in each column, right? Now for those vertices which you have chosen, assign 1 to it, those variable. Okay? In other words, if you have chosen x1 bar here, you are going to assign x1 bar equal to 1, which means x1 is actually 0, right? So for whatever the literal that you have chosen, assign 1 to it. Is this a consistent assignment? Is it that you will choose x1 here and x1 bar here, so that you want 1 here and 1 here, which is inconsistent? Will that happen? It is not going to happen, because an edge exists means one is not the complement of the other. Therefore you will be choosing somebody here, you will be choosing someone here, and you might choose someone here. But whatever it is, for the chosen literals, assign 1 is a meaningful assignment. For that meaningful assignment, since you have chosen 1 from each, you will have 1 here. Therefore that is a satisfiable assignment. You have discovered a satisfiable assignment. So if you are able to solve the k clique problem or the clique size problem in polynomial time, suppose you have discovered one such solution, here is the algorithm for you for solving the satisfiability problem in polynomial time. Right? How do you solve it? Give me your expression, write like this, and then form the graph like this, and I will use your algorithm to find a k clique, from which I will take the assignment, and then I will solve my problem in polynomial time. So if you have a clique problem in polynomial time, I can discover a polynomial time algorithm for this. But the big but is the following: a polynomial time algorithm for this does not exist so far, and there is no hope of getting one also in the near future. Therefore, for this problem also there may not be any good hope, right? This association shows that they are polynomially related. So what I have shown is the following: I have shown that the clique problem is NP hard. Okay? Why it is only NP hard? It is NP hard because everybody is related to this problem, and this problem is polynomially related to this. Therefore everybody in NP is related to this polynomially. Therefore first condition is satisfied. Is it NP complete? How do I show that it is NP complete? I have to show that the clique problem itself is in NP. This you have to show. If you show only this polynomial reduction, it establishes only NP hardness. You should show that it is NP hard, and this problem itself is here. But how do you show that? What is the technique? Guess and verify. Guess a set of vertices. See whether it forms a clique or not. That is easy to check. I can take a subset of vertices, check all the edges are present or not. Therefore, I can easily guess and verify. Since I could easily guess and verify, this problem is indeed belonging to NP. So, everybody in NP is related to him, and he himself is in NP, therefore he is NP complete. That is how you would prove the NP completeness. Okay? If you do only the first part, you would have established only NP hardness. If you show that some problem is NP hard, that means it is somewhere here. In addition to showing it is NP hard, if you show that it is here, then it is NP complete. This is the scenario as on today. If a polynomial time solution for this is identified, then this and this, everything will collapse into one set. Okay? That scenario is not known. Whether it is so or not is not clear.
$1 million price.
It's $1 million problem.
Price tag of $1 million.
Yes, yes. I chose this example because it is very simple to relate, provide the argument, guess and verify is also. You can use this as a case study to prove the NP completeness. What we do to show the NP hardness, what we show to prove the NP completeness, both are clarified by this example. Okay? Simple to illustrate and easy to follow. In quick time you can explain. There are some reductions which are very complicated. That will take 1.5 hours to prove the reduction, and then another 1 hour to show the NP-ness, everything. So such case studies will be very involved. Just to give them a quick, build the argument towards this diagram, and after that show this reduction, and that will clarify everything related to NP completeness, NP hardness, and proof technique of NP completeness by reduction. And then, if time permits, you can give 2 or 3 more reductions to give you a flavor of various NP complete problems in different domains. For example, like I related a problem in logic with a problem in graph theory which looks too remote, you can identify some problems to have a spectrum of problems, and if you could show the NP completeness, generally they will be convinced that there are NP complete problems all over. The reason why one has to know a broad spectrum of NP complete problem is the kind of application that you have. You do not know which of the difficult problem that you are going to have will bear a resemblance to which problem that is in the literature. So if they know broadly 5 or 6 NP complete problem, in all likelihood the first level difficult problems will be related to one of them, and once that hunch is there, then he can work through the establishing actual relation, and once he is through, he is now convinced that what the problem in his hand is really a difficult problem. Right? And that he should be able to discuss in the T, then comment that we have to now go for heuristics and so on. Right? This effect you should be able to impart on the trainees, because NP completeness is not well taught at all in many colleges. For practitioners, this is one very important tool to know, not because of mathematical requirements, right, but merely because to even understand the degree of difficulty of the challenge involved in the problem at hand, they have to know this. And then only they can go for pragmatic alternatives. Otherwise they will be hunting for a good optimal solution which is not even there or which they cannot find in reasonable amount of time. History is replete with instances where people without this knowledge went on in a brute force fashion, got stuck, built software with plenty of hotspots, and later on they were fixed by the people who had this knowledge, and then they have removed the hotspot by pragmatic alternatives. Bentley's example is only one, but that is not the only one. Even now it happens. Right. For a recent account, I think you can see some Smiths article, even 4 or 5 months back. So if I locate it, it was in banking sector software for certain query optimization. They went on madly on something, and then they wrote a code, but it was a very small code, but it was blowing their computers off. So how that was thinking, I think it was an article in Byte or somewhere. This story continues on and on and on. They will not know to relate to an NP-complete problem. They will think that it is easily doable and write a code, and that code will embarrass them to the core, and that is when they look little deeper into the math behind it, and then they will discover that they have wasted all their time and effort on something which is impossible to achieve. Then they will revise the specification and then work with the okay. So
well, friends, it was indeed a very good session. We enjoyed last 3 days, and I hope Professor Pandurajan is going to help us in going forward whenever we require an expert time in various topics. And it was indeed, I feel that it was indeed a very successful interaction and an introduction of algorithm course as a token of appreciation. And also, just to keep a memory, the small,
oh yes, pleasure receiving this from you. I always carry the fond memories from every class that I teach. I always carry one question on behalf of this course. Right? So, thanks.
can we lunch is ILA. So please, all of you, please join at the lunch.
Now over the lunch we can have a little more discussion.
Exactly.
If you have any more questions,